Many governance failures today don't just happen because rules don't exist. They happen because rules do exist, but judgment fails. Boards today operate in an ethical gray zone where compliance frameworks don't always have clear answers. Technology, regulations, and uh, people discretions or people scrutiny are evolving faster than governance models can adopt. And increasingly, boards are being regularly asked whether their decisions are not only compliant, but whether they are responsible as well. So, in today's conversation, we'll be talking about how Dharma can act as a decision lens, not just a philosophy, helping leaders think clearly when trade offs are real, consequences are human, and the right answer isn't just obvious. Today, I am joined by Mr. Vaidyanathan Venkataraman, a seasoned CIO grade technology leader and qualified independent director who has spent decades in translating board intent into disciplined and risk aware execution. And during my initial discussions with Mr. Vaidyanathan, what stood out to me was his thinking about judgment, about independence, and about accountability, technology. There are many things like that. And especially in the scenarios where governance decisions are complex and rules don't just help. Mr. Vaidyanathan, thank you for coming to the podcast and welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Gagan. Thank you for the introduction. Uh, Good morning and good afternoon to everyone, all of the viewers. So it is my privilege to have a talk to you and have a conversation with you.
Yeah,
Yes,
and before we
please.
go there, though we have been talking a lot in the past couple of weeks, I just want to understand how this year is going for you so far. How it's treating you so far?
Hardly we passed around 1 month. Some days are remaining. So basically, this month I feel very enthusiastic, and I felt connected to so many people in the social media, very new people, and in all age group, even some young generation who are thinking to start some kind of their own companies and startup kind of a thing. So that's why it is good. It is a good. I
Uh,
am starting with that.
I think you are a role model for generation to us or the people in today's because quite. I have seen you. You are quite active on LinkedIn. I have seen your posts and all. You talk a lot about dharma. You talk about many things. I've seen your posts where you talk about your childhood stories in your village. So they're really motivating and inspiring. I really thank you for guiding all of us, posting such kind of messages to all of us. So
Yeah,
it's always good to listen or share from experiences. That's really good.
yeah,
So I will start our conversation, which I've been thinking to have with you,
yeah.
typically about all your thoughts about dharma and all, right? So we speak about compliance, right? Compliance is something which can be measured. It is measurable, but judgment, it cannot be measured. So in
Yes,
your
yeah.
experience, in your opinion, where do boards are struggling when something is just legal, technically correct, but ethically it is really uncomfortable? Now, what are your views about it?
Yes, very great. Honestly, this is where all the most of the boards are getting trouble starts were there. Basically, the board gets struggle and in three different situations. Okay, number one, when short term looks very attractive and they make some decision in short term it very good look very attractive, but in the long run it may hit something. So and in that the law may be very legal, whatever the decision they are taking it may be legally correct, but what happens in the other the person in the other the room also, they know that in the long run it may come up with some cost. So
Yes.
that's our number one. Number two is when the responsibility goes very thin. So, and there may be some advisories, there may be committees, there may be policies and all that. But what happens, even though that, there are some people out there, suddenly they feel they are not accountable. So they
Yeah.
are not accountable. So in that case, self-consciously, the people who are there, if they look into the dharma as aspect, then they will take their own accountability without somebody is telling to take it. So that's where the comes in. The third one is silence is feels safer than speaking. So
Yes.
there what happens, people doesn't mean that they don't want to take the risk, but they feel that the challenging feels uncomfortable. So they are feeling that if we challenge it, it may be uncomfortable someone else. Okay, so these are the three situations, and the legality says, can we do this? The legality says, can we do this? So that's a question there. But judgment says, should we? So judgment says, should
Yeah.
we? So that's the thing. And most of the boards happen fails in that, and there is a gap in that.
Okay, I think really this response is really great, and I can relate this to our day-to-day professional lives as well. When we work there, many times we witness in our workplaces or otherwise something which is not ethically correct, right? But all of us under so much of pressure that of being uh, being becoming a black sheep or being standing out of the crowd, and maybe what's the consequences if I
Yeah,
raise my voice or ask a question, that we choose to be silent,
yeah,
right? So I think
yeah,
what you mentioned about dharma in this context, I would like to understand that how does this help a director or a leader reason out through a decision, especially when they do not want to moralize it, rather they simply want to reason out your decision. So how does it help the directors or leaders?
yeah. See, if you see the dharma as a, it is not as a philosophy in the boardroom. Okay, dharma is not. Don't see the dharma as a philosophy in the boardroom. It's a way of thinking. So how we have to think and act. Correct.
Yeah.
So there needs some forces, some practical questions. Practical question. Dharma always forces you to take some practical, ask some practical questions. So. Who is going to get affected by this? That is the number one question. If we take this decision, who is going to get affected by this, and who carries the downside if it goes wrong? So who will take the downside if it goes wrong? Then I would be comfortable defending this in public, and who will take this defending this decision in public? Okay, so if it doesn't have an answer, then it's forced you to look at the consequences, not just compliances. Okay, so it's not about being moral; it's about being clear-headed. It's not being. It's about being clear-headed. That's
Yeah.
the main thing.
So, we always understand, talk about independence. I have used the word earlier. Even you have mentioned independence during our earlier conversation, and I felt that when I speak to peer leaders in different forums, I feel that when we put this in context of dharma, independence typically means it's a detachment that people understand, which is a
Yeah,
misunderstanding. It's not a detachment. So, if I have to take or if you have to take your insight from your experience, right? In the real boardrooms, how does an independent director can stay objective without losing the commercial, let's say, realism? So, how does that happen in your experience in the real boardrooms?
yeah, great. So independent doesn't means being detached from the reality. It okay. It means it should be clear about your role. So you should be very clear about role. It is not about being detached from the reality. So in the board, they are not to fight the management. They are not there to fight the management, but they are to test how the board is thinking, and they have to feel easily to question them if something they feel it is going to wrong in the long run. That is the thing. Then people, they have to understand the business very deeply. Correct.
Okay.
And then they are not emotionally or financially tied to the outcome, but the same way. Correct. And they have to coming back to the basis. So what problem we are solving? Number one, what problem we are solving and what risk we are accepting. Correct. And what happens if we are wrong? If we are wrong, these are the three basics. And how you have to stay objective without being unrealistic.
Yes. So if I have to, I heard you talk about that we have to stay about objective. We have to, uh, we should have the business knowledge. We should know what we want to achieve. So I'm kind of sensing a word here called as dissent, right? That
Yeah,
you don't agree with someone when you want to take a, you want to stay objective, but you want to still don't use the commercial realism. So something called as
yeah,
constructive dissent is going to come into the picture, right?
yeah,
And how
yeah,
do you maintain that when the pressure is coming, being a board director or independent director, the pressure might come up from CEOs, the pressure might come up from market optics, short-term market optics, or the pressure can
correct.
come even from the promoters, right? So
Yes,
how
yes,
does constructive dissent look like in this cases or the scenarios?
yeah. Yeah. See, basically, it's quieter than what people imagine. So it's not a confrontation; it's a disciplined way of disagreement. So it sounds like I can put questions like frame questions like this. I might be missing something, but here, what's worries me about this? So what happens? What worries about? I may be misunderstanding something, but what me worries about what will be the outcome of this decision. That is number one. And have we looked out the downside of this decision? So this way I can frame my questions, or I can put in front of the boards. And what happens if this assumption doesn't hold? So these are the way we can do that. And I'm not they are attacking the people. We are taking the stress testing the logic. Correct. And the aim is to block decisions. It's not to block the decisions. It is to make sure weak decision don't go through unchallenged. Okay.
Yes.
So okay, and that is how descendant becomes useful instead of destructive.
Yeah, so basically what we are saying is that if we are making an informed decisions, right? If we are considering all the pros and cons, and in fact not only thinking about commerciality but also thinking about what is legally, ethically correct and all,
Yes, yes,
right? So then we can make a better decision, which then the risk of decision going wrong is certainly reduced there. Is that what you are trying to say, Mr. Vaidyanathan?
yes, yes, definitely correct. Yeah,
Okay, so I would like to pivot a little bit from here, and
yeah,
typically I am naturally doing that in all my conversations. So I always say people to pardon me for that because my
yeah,
primary area is always identity, access, and management. Which is IAM, and I tend to relate, different leadership communications or conversations, I must say, and see how they relate to identity, access management because somewhere down the line whether it's not coming as a technology thing, but it exists in every maybe boardrooms or leadership meetings.
yeah,
And what I've seen is that many governance dilemmas they don't really come up as a policy questions, right? So they might come up as through technology decisions as well, and specifically it revolves around identity, access, and controls. And why I'm saying that because even if you are a board member or you are a senior leader, uh, you are accessing certain kind of resources. You may be using applications. You are having some board applications where you record minutes, record decisions, and they all have certain kind of controls built around them so that they cannot be misused and all.
yes,
Right? And when I
yes,
talk about that, so certainly when we're talking about making decisions around access and controls, they are technology compliant
yes,
because there would be some CISO, there
yeah,
would be some CIO technical team who are ensuring that these are technically compliant. But what might also happen is these may create certain unintended consequences. Consequences like
yeah.
overexposure, right? And there could be some long-term hidden risk also getting created. So my question to you is that in such scenarios, how does the board think about accountability?
Say very well. So boards often see the access as a technical detail, but in reality, it is not technical. It is about authority. Okay. So what happens? Even every access and decision, there are three things. One is who gets the power. Correct.
Yes,
Second
yeah.
one is for what reason? What reason? And third one is and for how long they. how long? So that's a very critical questions about it. So the danger is not in one decision, but how they pile up in over the time. Correct. And so temporary access, if you see, it becomes permanent. Sometimes what happens, temporarily they give some access to some people, but in the long run it becomes a permanent one, because they wanted to keep it there, and that way it becomes. And second, what happens, sometimes convenience. So, for example, conveniently we give some people to some access control. It becomes an entitlement for them. So when the next person comes for the same position, he will ask for the same thing.
Yes,
So that's where it is. Systems and yeah. So so what
I really,
happened when systems and automatics, these choices?
yeah. I really, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
only music
Please
to
go
my
ahead.
ears because you have really picked up the the core of IAM when you said that people can have, you should know that what kind of access they need, for how long they need, and for what access, what they need access for, right? For what kind of work. And this is really I should say the nucleus of IAM, where we decide about entire controls and all revolve around this. I mean, it's not technical discussion, but I can just take a small, moment here. So nowadays, not only for access for humans, this is more becoming dangerous because we have non-human identities coming into picture with IoT, AI, and all of them.
Yes,
Application, document application. So I think
yes,
the point you have making around the dharma, if you bring all these, the thread of this thing into the compliance, into the governance, that really help. So do you agree that that identity access decisions are one of those areas where short-term conveniences can create long-term governance issues?
yes. See, uh, when some systems get automated these choices, okay, some
Yeah,
systems they get automated these choices, and but still the board wants the outcome of that. Correct. So even if the human, no human touch to that, the button is not touched by the human. So accordingly, it's not just by approving the technology. Accountability is not meant by just approving the technology. Okay. So, but understanding how trust and control are being handed out inside the organization.
yes, yeah.
Correct. So that's the way we need to think of it is.
Yes, very true, very true. So I'm really, kind of impressed by that because you are one of those few guests who have touched the core of IAM, and I mean, I should say that your knowledge around all these things is really commendable. I just want to, drag your thinking or thoughts into your past journey, right? Um, and
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
about all about decisions. So there are times where board decisions are getting wrong, right? And when a decision goes wrong, the impact is not just financial. The bigger impact is on the trust, the dent on the trust, the dent or the company's
Yes,
image or the organization's image, reputation, and the people, right?
yes,
So if you have
yeah.
to think back, was there a time when there was a delay or the decision was not taken, and then there was almost a verge of something going wrong, things did not go wrong, but later you realize that the risk of not taking the decision was much higher than something going wrong after decision has been taken, basically.
Yes, yes, yes. So, if possible, I can give a small example of this for this,
Sure,
how
sure,
to
definitely.
correlate
Yeah,
this.
I'm really
Yeah,
curious
yeah.
to know
See,
your thoughts.
once yeah, yeah, definitely. So what happens? I have in one of the FMCG company, they come up with a new advertisement for the marketing,
Yeah,
and they put some basic some words which is puts which will attract the viewers to get more sale whatever it is. But
yeah,
everybody in that room says that it may cost something in the long run, but the board says that no, it won't be that. So let's see and manage it. But that when the advertisement goes here, and in few days, some of the people, they're correlated with the religious things, and they said, this, and it go to a very, very, very problematic thing, and legally somebody had put that in the court and all that. So this is for the one simple example. We should not overlook anything. If somebody says that, okay, this may come in the long run, so this is one kind of a wrong decision, I can say, taken by the court, without realizing the risk involved in that. Okay, so uh, so leadership is always, being right. It's not about always being right. It is about being willing to take some decision when things are unclear. So both should think in that way.
Yeah.
So boards are not remembered for the perfect calls. Okay, boards are not remembered for the perfect calls. They are remembered for whether they acted when it is mattered.
Yes.
So,
So you're
so
saying
this
that
is the one example what I have observed.
this is really a good example, and I really understand that what you intend to say here, because generally, procrastination and delaying decisions or not taking a decision becomes one of the choices to not to not or to avoid the risk of getting wrong. But if I relate it to your earlier inputs that you have given, that if you have the right business knowledge, if your intents are correct, you know what you want to get, where you want to get, then decision making becomes simpler and the judgment becomes right. So what I'm understanding so far that we have discussed,
Yes,
that when dharma is stripped off of philosophy, right, what it becomes, what it is actually is, what I have used acronym here, CCA, which is talking about clarity, talking about courage, talking about accountability. That's what dharma stands for as per me. Would you agree with me when I say this?
yes. Yes,
Yes.
yes, definitely, definitely. You have put it with another angle of that. So what I feel, I wanted to say, you already put it in that angle. So CCA is very opt for this. See, Dharma, we see, even whenever we see Dharma in olden days, whatever Dharma is, they put it in the practical basis. So what way the practically we have to approach all problems and solutions. It is not like something what happened legally may be good, but as per the dharma is not correct. So sometimes it will be like dharma is correct but legal is not correct. So this way, that judgmental is very important.
Yes, so I think in a leaders, whether you are a director or you're a board member, the hardest moments are those, whether you're taking a technology decision, a people decision, or whether talking about governance. The hardest moment is when rules are not helping you out, right? And that is when the judgment defines your leadership, right? That's what it defines.
Yes, yes.
So I think I have really gained a lot from your inputs, Mr. Vaidyanathan, today, and this really is for a grounded and practical conversation. I would be moving to address my viewers before we close this conversation, but would you mind giving us some few words of wisdom to our viewers?
Um, See, yes, definitely. Especially, I am just asking this Gen Z, whatever you call the younger generation, who are
Yeah.
going to take lead of growth of our nation. So they should have this courage and do whatever you do on whatever business, whatever work you are do, and take it into consideration what Dharma says about it, and try to follow that in a correct way. So that's the I think it will definitely help the younger generation as well as the organization as well as the country. So that's what my message to them.
Thank you so much, Vedanath. It's really very deep words of wisdom for Gen Z, as you rightly said, who would be the future of our country, of our nation, taking our nation on the path of progress and development. So I really thank you for being here, sparing our time, and giving us a lot of wisdom, a lot of input from your experience, and also showing us a path going forward. And specifically, people take, when the moment we say word dharma, people go into instead a philosophy, right? So to our viewers, I would like to say it's not about philosophy that we're talking about. It's all about acting with the courage. It's all about asking better questions, right? And see, the when everything is clear, where rules are clear, Decision making is very simple, very easy. But what changes the whole ball game is uh, what what if happens when rules are not clear. That is when the judgment matters. And if you are watching this episode of mine as a
Yes.
leader, as a board leader, or as a governance board member, ask this question to yourself: when compliance rules are not clear, what drives my judgment? So with that, I would take your leave and end this call. Thank you so much for watching this episode of mine, Conversations with Gagan Mathur. Thank you again, Mr. Vaidyanathan, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Bye bye. Bye.